Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the stages of change. Change is a really difficult thing to do for some of us. I'm going to say myself included. I am a creature of habit, so sometimes making a change is like pulling teeth for me. But I've realized there are some tips and tools and techniques that I can use to just kind of make change a little bit easier for me. And so, whether you want to lose weight or accomplish some just kind of academic goal, whether you want to change your eating habits, your workout schedule, most of us kind of go through the same cycle of change. And I want to highlight the cycle so you guys can understand what the cycles look like and what typically happens, so that change and habit forming can be an easier process. So, often when you change, you just become discouraged because not a lot of people can, and I don't want to say not a lot of people, I'll just say some people find it difficult to just stay committed to the idea of change. And one of the things I want to highlight in this video is that sometimes change, you won't be successful, and that's a part of the cycle of change. Relapse is what I'm trying to say. That is a part of it. So, and to really change, you have to understand there's three major elements of change that are very important. It's the readiness to change. Do you have the resources and the knowledge to make a lasting change successfully? Right. Some of us don't have the knowledge. Like, we want to change our eating habits, for example, but how, have you ever seen anybody in your house eat healthy? Do you have the information you need to understand what healthy looks like? Portion control. There's so much information out there that sometimes when you embark on change, there's so much information, you get overwhelmed. And so you just stop because it's like, okay, I can't. There's just too much going on right now, too much information, too much conflicting information. And so at some point, you're just like, you know what? I don't want to. Right. And then barriers to change. Is there anything preventing you from changing? Like, if you want to change your eating habits and you live in the house with a lot of people, what's the likelihood that you're really going to make that change and stick to it if your mom or dad are still buying snacks and leaving, just boxes and boxes of snacks in the cabinet and lots of fattening food in the refrigerator? And then likelihood of relapse. That's the third thing. What might trigger return to the former behavior? Well, some of us, if we're staying with the food example, some of us, and I mean us generally, are, we are taught just kind of really poor habits when it comes to food. Like, if I do something good, oh, I can get I need to treat myself. And typically you treat yourself to a snack, some ice cream. When you feel bad, you treat yourself to some kind of food item. And so there are lots of things that are just kind of set up to help you relapse if food is the thing that you're just trying to change from. And so little while ago, I think it was a few years ago, I'm not really sure. I know it's less than 10, but I don't know if it's more than 5. But they started to, they meaning people in psychology, addiction, and other theoretical theoretical disciplines. I could not get that out. Started to do research about change, and they came up with the change model, right? So, the model is just a trans theoretical model, is what it's called. And it's just to show you, is just to take you through this change. Take you through the stages of change. And so, what it does, it assumes the person is capable of rational, logical decisions and actions. It doesn't take into account contextual factors such as income, class, occupation. So, none of that. So, that doesn't mean poor people make changes in a different way than rich people do. The change model is transferable across just different demographics. So, no defined start or end points or duration delineate each stage or overall process. And interview tools such as questionnaires um, are used to just kind of help with the process. So the first stage is pre-contemplation. So in this stage, yeah, you're probably still in a denial. You're ignoring the problem. You're not really, you kind of know something's going on, but no, 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 I don't have a problem. No, 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 I'm good. Just in denial. So the strategies to just kind of overcome this change so you can move on to the next is just kind of rethink your behavior. If you know that you are like, because drugs and alcohol is really popular right now. So let's say if you're vaping, right? You're coughing, you can tell that the vape is really affecting you. You've been smoking it every day. You've been sneaking it in school, sneaking it behind your parents' back. And so if your anxiety is up because this thing is becoming a bigger thing than you wanted it to be. And so you have to start to rethink your behavior. So then you have to start analyzing yourself and your actions. Like, is this the best behavior for me? Is this the best thing for me to be doing right now? And then why am I doing it? Why am I putting um why am I putting myself through this anxiety, possible depression? And then assess the risk of your current behavior. If you're doing it at home and your parents smell it, you're going to get in trouble, right? Nobody wants their kids smoking nicotine. Some parents especially don't want it smoking, want their kids smoking in their house, right? And then you're putting yourself at risk taking it to school. Kids are being expelled. There's all sorts of things going on. And although the person that is in this example may be young and healthy, it's still not a good thing to be to be in a position where you're smoking your vape all the time, or at all. It's just not good for you. um so it's the pre-contemplating contemplation stage is just you considering a change. In this stage is often described as in denial because the person will claim that their behavior is not a problem. In some cases, people, they don't really understand their behavior is damaging or that they're underinformed, and they don't really understand the consequences of their actions, right? So it's like, I'm just smoking a little vape here and there with my friends. Sometimes I sneak it home and do it. Like, I do have this really bad cough, but that's because I have allergies or a cold. It's just not really being aware of how you're being affected um, by, just your choices. So the next thing is contemplation, right? So contemplation is usually characterized by ambivalence and conflicted emotions. And strategies to just kind of get past that is weighing the pros and cons of your behavior. Confirm your readiness and ability to change. Like, can I change? Am I able to change? What identify barriers to change? Like, if I know I can change, and I'm considering, like, should I change or shouldn't I? Like, what's the benefit? What's the cost? And then what's the barrier if I really want to do this, right? So during this stage, people become more and more aware of the potential benefits of making a change. We just talked about, like, just kind of weighing your options, but the cost tends to stand out even more. If I continue smoking this vape, this cold that I thought I had will continue to get worse because, um, it's causing some lung difficulties. This conflict creates a strong sense of ambivalence about changing. And because of this uncertainty, the contemplation of change can last months or even years. So people may not make a change because they're thinking about it for a long time. So I'm going to move this back to food, right? This long standing thing I have with Oreos for years. I'm like, I'm not going to eat a whole sleeve of Oreos. I'm just going to eat one or two, the recommended, the serving, one serving amount. And that hasn't happened. So it may take you a while to just kind of, decide, okay, yes, I'm definitely ready to make this change. I've noticed that I'm not feeling good after I eat a whole sleeve of Oreos. I'm noticing that my pants aren't fitting the way I want them to. I'm feeling tired, sluggish, just all these things that you're noticing. And then weighing your option is, hey, it's only a few Oreos here and there until it's not, right? And so I know the Oreos example is a little tongue in cheek, but it's really just a serious. It can be very serious for certain people. Okay, so that brings us to our third stage of change, which is preparation, right? So the characteristics of preparing for change is experimenting with small changes, right? So instead of eating the whole sleeve of Oreos, just, okay, I may not eat the recommended amount, so I may eat a few more, right? Because I do want to make this change. So I'm going to make a small change so that I can be successful, right? So I'm just kind of trying on my success. And it's collecting information about change. And in this phase, right, it can be a little frustrating because it's like, okay, I have to figure out what to eat, how to eat, what's going to feel good to me, what's not going to feel good to me. And I have to wrap my mind around, just kind of changing something I enjoy doing, right? And so the strategies is write down your goals, right? One of the things that people love doing at the beginning of the year is doing the vision boards. So they're writing down their dreams, their hopes, their goals for the future. I'm suggesting that you go a little bit smaller, right? Because when you have these lofty goals and you don't have like the actionable steps to get to just kind of maintain and manage those goals, well, obtain, maintain, and manage the goals, they probably won't happen, right? So prepare a plan of action anytime that you create a goal. So if I want to stop eating Oreos as much as I do, then I would, one, when I go to the store, I would avoid the Oreo aisle. That's a plan of action. On my Instacart, don't order any Oreos. Like, what do I do if I break down and I actually order some? Okay, open the packet, toss them out. You can't have them. So it's just creating a plan. Like, what do I do if I feel like I have this desire to just kind of binge on the Oreos? Then I'm going to do some urge surfing, which means I'm going to go somewhere, do something to distract me until the urge just kind of subsides. And then make a list of motivating statements. You want to encourage yourself whenever it's time to change during this phase, because what also happens during this time when you're trying to change, there's a guilt shame cycle that happens a lot for some people. Like, you feel guilty that you ate something after you promised yourself you weren't going to do this again, and that you were going to put yourself on the right track. And then you just kind of feel shame because if somebody asks you, how you doing, girl, like, are you not eating as many Oreos, blah 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 blah. Not like anybody will ask you that, but go stay with me. So what actually so it's just really just, again, just trying to encourage yourself to stay on track, not feeling the guilt and the shame. And we'll discuss the guilt shame cycle in another video, because that's a really it's a really good topic to discuss so that you can understand how the brain operates, especially when it's around change. And I do want to make a note that guilt shame cycle will stop you from making permanent changes, and it'll also create a cycle for you. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's said to themselves, "Oh, I'll start the diet next week," and then when you start the diet next week, um, you have two successful days, and then boom, there you are again, back on that cycle of just kind of eating poorly, smoking vapes, whatever it is, whatever habit you're trying to change. And so, you know, um you're just trying to make improvements, right? You're preparing yourself to do things differently. And one of the things I feel like most of us need to do is just give ourselves a little grace when it comes to making these changes, right? So stage 4, action. It's a direct action towards a goal. So this is the movement phase, right? Um, Meaning you've already prepared yourself, you've already thought about it, you've already recognized it, you've prepared yourself, and now this is action, this is movement, right? So you reward yourself for your successes. These are the strategies that'll make you that will make you successful, and you seek out social support. I know for me, whenever I like announce that, oh, I'm on a new workout journey, and I hate to say this, but I'm more likely to stick to that because I've announced to everybody that I'm on the workout journey. And it's like an accountability thing. And then it's a little bit of a competitive thing, but I'll work that out later. So, but it just holds me accountable, right? And acknowledging, just rewarding yourself. Now, what I've had clients do in the past is reward themselves if there was a food issue, like they had binging issues, they weren't working out, the goal had anything to do with food and exercise. Sometimes that person would have the idea of, well, I can reward myself with a cheat meal or a treat or things like that. And sometimes you don't want to reward yourself with, well, not sometimes, you don't want to reward yourself with the thing that you're trying to reduce, right? And so it's find good ways, or I don't want to say good ways, more adaptive ways, that's a better word, to reward yourself for making good choices. For me, I like to get a new workout item. So it could be gloves that I need. It could be a new T-shirt. It can be any of those things that have nothing to do with food to reward me for doing a really great job, right? So the last final phase, well, no, not the final, is the next to last phase, excuse me, is the maintenance phase, right? So maintenance of the new behavior, avoiding temptation. This is just you just kind of, you've already, gotten into the action, you're getting it done. And so now you're maintaining the new behavior. The strategies that make you successful here is develop coping strategies for temptation. And I, in the previous phase, I kind of preempted this by saying, if you feel like you want to eat, do the urge surfing. If you start to think you want to binge, if you feel like you want to vape, then do the urge surfing. Distract yourself, go on a walk, find some other coping strategies that are just kind of good for you to just keep yourself focused, right? So, again, the maintenance phase, it involves just kind of successfully avoiding former behaviors and keeping up with new behaviors. And if you're trying to maintain a new behavior, look for ways to avoid temptation. Try replacing old habits with more positive actions. Reward yourself when you're able to successfully avoid a relapse, right? So again, if I have avoided binging, I've done the urge surfing, I've done some meditation, breathing exercises, I am staying away from those darn Oreos, I am ready, right? I'm doing it. Um, Reward yourself, right? So the last and final stage of change, excuse me, is relapse, right? And so we talked about this, that sometimes that this relapse, this failure, and I'm going to call it that only once so you guys can understand that this is really what that means, because some people will recognize it as a failure, but relapse is a part of change. You not doing things in a way that you expected to do them when you tried to create this habit change, relapse is a part of that. And so you're going to feel disappointed, frustrated, and feel like you failed. So, some of the things that'll help you with some strategies that'll help you with the relapse phase is identifying triggers that led to relapse, right? If before, like when you were in the house and with your family, and they said, okay, we won't buy treats, but people started to buy treats, they brought them in the house again, and so that was a trigger, just kind of seeing the items again just in the cupboard and the refrigerator. Then also there could be emotional triggers. I feel sad. Some people eat when they feel sad, some people smoke when they feel sad. Recognize your barriers to success, right? Like, are you not using your coping skills? Are you not recognizing, okay, I need to do something else to make sure that I don't relapse again? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm successful? Do I need to change my plan? Do I need to make some other adjustments? It's just kind of talking through what you need to just actually change. And then you want to reaffirm your goal and commitment to change. Reaffirm, like, why did I want to change this? Why did I feel the need to want to cut out cookies? Right? I want to cut them out because I felt sick, that I felt lethargic, that the sugar wasn't good for me. It wasn't helping me. My pants didn't fit right anymore. I didn't feel comfortable walking after a little while. So all of those were reasons that, you wanted to change. For some people want to look a certain way, and it's important to them. And I mean, and there's balance, because it's okay to want to look a certain way, but you don't want to take it too far left or right. And so that's one of the things that can be a little tricky along with the stage of change. Like, you don't want to become obsessive with it, and you don't want to move into an unhealthy direction. And so those are the 6 stages of change, and that's going to help you with habit building or habit forming, right? Okay, so in the second part of the video, because we just kind of went over the stages of change, so now we're going to talk about how to build new habits, right? And so habit forming and habit building is going to be the things that'll help you along this just kind of stage of change. So the one thing you want to do is differentiate between the goals and habits, right? Goals are outcomes such as getting healthy. Habits are the actions you take to achieve the goal. So, for example, eating vegetables with each meal and exercising every day, that's a habit. And the goal is, again, getting healthy, right? So start with small changes, make incremental changes towards the behavior you want, and work your way up there. So one of the things I always tell clients is start small, because if I wake up and I decide one day I want to get healthy, I'm going to exercise 5 days a week, I'm going to stay in the gym for 2 hours at a time, like that is an unattainable goal. Like, you're not going to be able to maintain that goal. And then when you don't do well, because you've made such a drastic change. And I'm not saying you're not, as in everybody won't. There's some people that can just get up and do that and be very successful, but a good portion of people can't. And so, just small incremental changes, right? So if I say I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym, well, let's make it a little bit simpler. Walking, right? Some people, when they start to walk for weight loss, if depending on how heavy you are, you can probably only do 15-20 minutes, but doing that 15 to 20 minutes over time will get you prepared and revved up to do a mile, to do 2 miles, eventually 3, and then 4. But it all started off with a 15 or 20-minute walk, and your just kind of commitment to continue to do so, right? So again, if you improve at something at like 1% every week, the changes will eventually accumulate over months and years. That's going to be a massive change. I just read an article about a woman she walked every day and lost 200 pounds. And I thought that was amazing. So, another thing is update your environment. Make changes that encourage your new habit and discourage unwanted habits. So, if you would like to eat healthier, keep a bowl of fruit on the counter and put unhealthy snacks out of sight. So put them away. If you live in a house with other people, like in the previous example, when I was saying about the snacks in the cupboard, lock them away. Have them, or have somebody put them in their room. And don't tell you where they are, so that you can just kind of stay committed to your new habit, right? Tie new habits to other activities. So this is called habit stacking. So make a plan using the format: after I work out, um, I will Okay, so I'm forgive me, I just kind of lost my place. So a better example would be: after each meal, I will read for 5 minutes. This is a simple way to just kind of remember your habits each day and encourage consistency, right? And so some practice is better than no practice, right? So even if you don't have a lot of time or energy to do something towards building a habit, too tired for a long walk, take a 5 minute walk. Too busy to read a whole chapter, read one page. And so it's eventually you'll finish the book, eventually you'll finish the walk. And it's just maintaining consistency so that you can continue to build a habit, right? So tell someone you're starting a new habit. See, that's my favorite: accountability. I want somebody to ask me about it because I'm so competitive. I don't want someone to ask me about something and I'm saying, "Oh no, I didn't do it." I'm going to say, "Yes, I did it. I crushed it. I have killed it. Thank you for asking." I think that's the military training in me, but I digress. So doing so, when you tell somebody about your new habit, it creates accountability and it makes it more difficult to back out of your commitment. Also, once others know you're working towards the goal, they may offer encouragement and support. I love that part. Like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah, I ran," it's just a point of connection with some people too, right? So I like the idea of just having that accountability person or people. So track your habit. Keep a journal, calendar, or spreadsheet to record your habit each time you practice. It can be satisfying to record your behavior and take a look back and see all your hard work you've put in. Plus, it can be motivating to keep the habit streak alive. So for me, I do, and it took a while because it takes a lot of discipline. But for me, for my workout schedule and me trying to get my health in order, one of the things that helped me is tracking my food. And I'm not tracking it so that I can be restrictive or deny myself anything, but I'm tracking it because I want to know what's going in and out of my body, and I want to know that I want to see in black and white that I'm making a good choice. And so that just works for me. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, but that works for me. I feel really good doing that, and it holds me accountable. It also helps me to track my mood. So let's say if I had an eating day that wasn't really successful, I also take like little notes as to how I woke up feeling, what was going on with me, um, just that day, what took me off track, so I can again record what the trigger is. So, and then celebrate your successes. And that's what I like about building habits and the stages of change. It says to celebrate your successes. Healthy habits tend to have long term benefits that take time to kick in. While you're waiting for these, give yourself immediate small rewards to sustain motivation. Just make sure you don't contradict your goals. Um, Meaning, if your healthy habits if your habit is to eat healthier, don't reward yourself with a candy bar. That's counterproductive. It's not going to help you maintain your goal, and it's just not good for you. One of the things you want to do, and I'll add to this, when it comes to the habit forming, is you also want to give yourself grace. Just understand that a part of the change is relapse. Relapse it happens for some people, and you don't have to have this just kind of grief behind it. It's just understanding that it's a part of it. So in my head, if I understand that relapse is a part of change and it's a part of habit forming, then I understand, okay, this happens. I plan for this. Okay, I'm going to keep it moving, right? So what, I had the sleeve. I had a few more Oreos. I'm not going to even say the sleeve. I had a few more Oreos than the serving size, right? So I'm not going to go in and then say, forget it. I had 4 Oreos instead of having 3. So now I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to eat a whole pizza because I don't care anymore. I'm off track. And then after you're off track, you feel sick, you feel bad, and then you say, well, I'll start again on Monday. Well, it's Tuesday. So you're going to eat bad from Tuesday to Sunday. I mean, Tuesday to Monday. Well, yeah, Tuesday to Sunday, excuse me. And so it's just going to really throw you off. And I think, again, just giving yourself grace and saying, you know what? I had 4 instead of 3. No big deal. I'm going to keep it moving. Right. And so understand with, developing new habits, it's important. It's an important part of working towards long-term goals. So your habits will get you to your goal, to your long-term goals. I talked about that previously. So um, I misspoke previously when I said the habit stacking. When I described the previous thing as habit stacking. Connecting a new habit to an existing habit is what's called habit stacking. So if you like watching television, but you want to start walking, you want to start a walking goal also, right? So if you say, I'm going to walk 40 minutes a day, a good thing is to, well, I'll watch television while I walk, because some people won't walk because they want to watch their television shows. I don't know where I either read or heard this, because I'm always reading something, or looking at something. But a young woman said that I saw it on TikTok. Just realized it. So what she said was that she only watches a particular show during her walking sessions because it will motivate her to continue to walk. Like, she watches the cliffhanger, so she will not watch that show outside of her treadmill workout. So it makes sure that she walks every day, because that's the way she stacked those habits. And I thought that was a really great thing. Um, and so that was really what I wanted to talk about in regards to the habit stacking. Um, After I brush my teeth, I'll do 10 push-ups. I'll do 10 push-ups and then I'll relax. That's another example of habit stacking. After I get on the bus, I'll practice deep breathing for 10 minutes, because that's part of the bus. After I practice my breathing, I'll listen to music. All of those, again, are examples of habit stacking. And so if you're trying to create these new habits for yourself, try to figure out how you can stack a new habit with an old habit to help create more success. So, one of the last things, again, that I want to encourage is just understanding where you are with change and habit forming. That that relapse is a part of change, and I know I keep saying that over and over again, and I'm saying it for a reason, because, again, when that guilt shame cycle kicks in, you're ashamed that you're failing over and over again. You feel guilty that you're failing over and over again. But just understand that, one, that it's relapse, that perceived failure is a part of the stage of change. Get back on the horse and just kind of just start all over again. right? Give yourself grace. So for me, I think of it in the same way that if my best friend were to come to me and say, "Oh, girl, like I've done horrible. I haven't done anything right. I suck. I set all these goals for myself. I haven't done any of them." You wouldn't say, "Well, yeah, you do suck cuz you're so lazy and I just can't believe that you're so unmotivated and you suck." You would never say that to her. You would say, "Oh no, like I'm so sorry you feel that way. Like you'll get it. Like, there were times before where you worked really hard on something and you were successful." So for me, if you'll say that to your friend, if you will encourage them, then I feel like you need to do the same thing for yourself. Like give yourself some encouragement. Allow yourself to just kind of not be perfect at this process because you won't be. Eventually, like if you continue with the habit stacking, you continue with the goal setting, if you continue understanding the stages of change, eventually you'll be successful. You'll continue to be motivated, and before you know it, like the thing that you were ready to change and get rid of, it'll be done. It'll be done. You would have made the change. You would have maintained it. You would have been successful at it because you gave yourself the grace and opportunity to get that thing done. And okay, well, thank you guys. I will see you on the next video.